Hi, it's the 21st of August, and my name is Kate Arnak. My pen name. That is Kate with the K and Arnak with the C. You can find me on the internet, and I have a website, and I write novels and essays. And you can find my books, and I'm published on Amazon Kindle. And I make these videos because I'm a lot of stuff I write about, I also want to talk about, and it's a lot easier for me to simply tell you about it than write the whole essay. But most of it you can find in my essays, and the references to the sources that I use for this, because I am a scientist, and I have 2 master degrees, one in law and one in psychology, and I studied management and history, and so I'm used to the rigorous laws of science, and that you have to make sure that if you claim facts, you have to have sources, reliable sources. So I've been trained by the University of Amsterdam. I'm Dutch. Anyway, there's I see on the television, if you watch the same programs as me, and the news, and people are worried because, today they announced that the American deficit, the debt, no, not the deficit, the debt was 40 trillion. You can't even imagine all those zeros, It becomes meaningless at some point. But a lot of Nobel Prize winning and very renowned economists and ordinary people all over the world are worried about the world economy. Japan has a lot of has to work very hard to keep the yen of some value, to keep their currency from crashing. The USA is in deep, deep, deep debt. Some European countries are over 100 GDP in debt. Others not. But the trend is frightening. There's a war in Ukraine, Russia, which unsettled the flow of oil and gas, and the price of oil and gas, and now there's a war in Iran, and that is really disrupting fossil fuels, oil and gas, and other stuff like helium, and gas to make fertilizer. So there's out of the Middle East comes about 25% of the world's oil production, and that hasn't been exported for 6 months now, and the countries are very in a very fast rate going through their reserves, and a lot of people are worried how we're going to pay for this. It doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. So basically, for the next couple of years, we will have 25% less production, less oil on oil products on the market as we had last year. This is not a temporary hiccup. With the refineries blown and the political situation as it is, it looks like this will be years or forever that we have to do with a quarter less oil available on the market. And that is a huge economic shock. And there are some people who are saying we're going into a recession. We're going to have a serious supply problems. We're going to run out of a lot of essential necessities, from diesel to air fuel to fertilizer, chips, because 50% of the world's helium comes from the Strait of Hormuz, and it doesn't come through the Strait of Hormuz now. So we're 50% down, and helium is essential in making computer chips. Just, get your mind around that. In this economy, in this world, you suddenly have 50% less computer chips which we can produce because we don't have helium. And so it's looking grim. And people are worried, and I am worried. I watch television, and the people are saying, well, the oil reserves are going to run out in 30 days. And a worldwide recession, and Trump is just very worried about his building projects, and he's basically hiding out. He's not answering questions anymore. Nobody knows how to end this, and it's very worrying. And but also look at the state of democracy in America. And we in Europe are very, very worried because the masks are off. You can see the reality of American politics is that the 1% have all the money, all the assets, and they bought the whole government. All the politicians are bought by the 1%. By the big companies, by the big rich people. You cannot get elected if you do not have money to run a campaign. And if the 1% give you money to run your campaign, when you get elected, you do what the 1% do. So I concluded that if you want to know what happens next, if you want to do some predictions for the future, think about what is best for the 1%. What makes the 1% richer and more powerful? And then that is what will happen, because everybody's going, oh, the president, etc. But he doesn't decide shit. He's a rich man. He's part of the 1% now. But it's the whole group of companies and force fields surrounding the president. It's Musk having dinner with Bezos or somebody, I don't know, some very rich guy, or a couple of rich guys, on a charity dinner somewhere in New York, and then they're having after dinner drinks, and they're discussing the economy, and they're carving up the world, and that is what will happen. And they'll call Trump and say, well, this is what you're going to do, and Trump is going to say, yes, sir. So if I want to know what's going to happen next, I think what profits the 1%? Because the government in America is not there for the people. They are bought. They are already bought by the 1%. The government is there to make sure the 1% stay rich and get richer. They don't pay taxes. They don't have to are not held accountable. The rule of law doesn't apply to them. They are not hindered in making more and more and more money and having more and more power. And the government, and especially Trump, is not there for the people or for what's good for America, because he's driving America into the ground. Well, actually, he's off a cliff. If the oil reserves are finished, then we're going off a cliff. All of us in Europe are very worried. That the American 1% and Putin and his 1% are destroying our world, and it's worrying. And I see a lot of people and I saw some guy on television, and he's saying, "Yeah, well, what can I do? I'm sitting here, and these fruitcakes in government, they steal my money, and what can I do? What can I do?" And I thought about it, and then I thought there's two things you can do. Engage politically for those candidates and those parties and politicians that promise to take care of the people and not themselves. Now, of course, it's promises, and if it's one thing the 1% and the politicians do to get elected, it's promises, but some are more believable than others. There are some candidates in the United States and many political parties in Europe who are believable, and we know that they will do what they promise to do once they get into power, and if they don't, we'll chop their heads off. Anyway, so it is basically a class war. It's the 99 versus the 1%. So there's two things you do. First of all, you have the class war. You fight the 1%. How do you fight the 1%? By voting in the people who will fight the 1% for you. How are they going to do that? These governors and congressmen, these people you vote for, will, very simple, do two things. Tax the rich. Oh, actually, three things. I'm not good at counting. But they will tax the rich. One, they will tax wealth and not labor. Two, they will crush monopolies. They will introduce antitrust legislation, and they'll crush the monopolies of Amazon and Microsoft and Palantir and all those big companies, and Exxon and all the big companies who dominate the market and who are rent-seeking, who make you pay rent, who make you pay through the nose for ordinary services. And that will reintroduce a free market economy where companies compete against each other and the prices will go down. So tax wealth, not labor. Tax the wealthy, not the poor. Antitrust, break monopolies forcefully. And three, reintroduce the rule of law. That's what we need. The people with power and the people who commit crimes like corruption will be held accountable. Because, the masks are off. What is different about the Trump administration is that they are openly corrupt. They steal from the government. They steal Venezuelan oil. They give jobs to friends. They give bonuses to friends. They give themselves bonuses of government money, tax exemptions. Nobody's prosecuted, or there's the Ministry of Department of Justice is the personal playground of the president. He says you will prosecute my enemies and not my friends. There's no justice. Reintroduce the rule of law. The law is for everybody, including the rich people, and all those people who today are openly committing crimes like corruption, but also insider trading. Trump is openly admitting he's insider trading. He's buying and selling oil stocks, and then he makes an announcement about the Iran war, and he's telling his friends beforehand. That is pure insider trading, and they're making billions. And, this American government is so corrupt and openly corrupt. So what needs to be done is these new parties and representatives, or even old ones, who say, I'm going to change my platform, because it doesn't matter the man or woman who's in the seat. What matters is their policy, and the policy has to change. So I don't care about what body it's in, as long as they are not profiting personally. I don't give a shit who sits there. They'll have a government salary, and that's it. And apart from that, it's about the policy. So the people have to force the political parties and the people who run for office to adopt these policies. Tax wealth, not labor. Crush monopolies, antitrust. Rule of law, return the rule of law for everyone. And prosecute all those people who have committed crimes right now in this administration, all the corruption and the money grabbing, and take the money from them that they have illegally obtained through crimes, and take the money out of politics. Just say, anybody running for Congress may have $1 million, and that campaign money, and that's it. Everybody has to do with the same money. And you can't buy volunteers, and, figure it out. Make some laws. But take the money out of politics. Make a law which says money can't buy you politics, can't buy you government, cannot influence a government decision. That is corruption. And there's this ruling by the Supreme Court. But if Congress passes an anti-corruption law and takes the money out of politics, then the Supreme Court can't fight that. They can't oppose to that. And it is not against the Constitution to fight corruption. It was what the Constitution was about. And you can think of all the things you need to fix now. But, it's a good thing that they're openly corrupt, and that they're showing everybody openly how the system works and how the 1% control America and part of the world. So that's one side of it, from what can I do. And the other side is you can become engaged, because we need to stop looking at politicians and a big man and a strong man and, the silverback and the leader. That's how we got into this mess. Because we were all looking up and waiting for this big leader to shower us with riches and make everything all right again. And that is not how it works. There is no big man, no God, no silverback, no big powerful man who can fix it all. He just can't. And America and the world is a huge, diverse, complicated, culturally diverse, and diverse in any way, community, a global community. There is not one man who can fix all that. That belief, that faith, that religion of the one strong man is what got us in trouble in the first place. Not just Trump, but any leader, any male leader, let's be honest, they're all men, who are supposed to rule us and save us. It just doesn't happen. They just enrich themselves and they don't give a fuck. They're all zero fuckers. Now, if you want a good life for yourself and your family and your community, then that is where you have to start. Globalization means grassroots, because every region, every town, every community is different. So it's not about one size fits all. It's about all the different communities making an effort to make life better in their community. That's the grassroots. And let the non-corrupt politicians do the big things for the big country, like building the interstate roads. But if you want to save community, you build a community service and you make sure that people are well housed and people are taken care of and people are taking care of each other and helping each other and building small businesses and taking care of the people who need taking care of and help each other. That is what a good life is about. And basically that's what happiness is about. Having a happy family and with love and friendship and participating and contributing to the welfare of your community. Not it can just be your community, your borough. It can be any kind of community, a religious community. It can be a social community, a hobby, a group, whatever. But you need to participate in all these different communities, online as well as offline. You can use the internet to build businesses, to attract investors. And so we need to think local and to make a difference locally and to work together and find groups through the internet and on the streets to make our own little corner of the world a better place. And if everybody does that, we can link all these communities together like a strong web, which will hold together and which will feed and nourish everyone. And that is the essence of happiness, to be in this great, in this mesh, in this global network of all these local communities working together. And so let government take care of the big things and not just fixing the problems from all the things that went wrong, but on a government or actually on a world level, we need to introduce or reinstate democracy in all the countries of the world. And with this democracy, we need to have equitable distribution of wealth through taxes. And with these tax incomes, we need the government to create a welfare state where everybody's needs are met and everybody can get a decent education, and the money that we have and the resources that we have needs to be invested. That is a major economic issue right now, because the problem we have today is wealth inequality, the 1% owning all the assets, the rest of the 99 getting poorer and poorer and poorer. And with poverty comes violence, war, starvation, etc. So, what we need is a welfare state where everybody's basic needs are met. And for that, we need to close the gap between rich and poor and make sure that everybody's provided for, but also that that we go from a financial economy to a production economy. So people are not making money by having money anymore. We have to stop that. That is the stock exchange, that is banks. The whole financial system is where you earn a passive income because you own money and the money generates rent. That is the rent-seeking monopoly financial system. And because and you collect rent from the 99 and just sucking all the resources from the 99 in the whole world. And that is linked to imperialism, but I did another video on that. Anyway, so we need to change our economy and make very strict financial rules and make sure that passive income is so heavily taxed that it's not worth owning assets. But in this way, we are pushing all the money and all the resources into investing because we will not tax investment. So if a company invests in training their personnel, in doing research and development for new products or better products, or environmentally safer products and better working conditions for the workers, higher wages for the workers, new buildings and machines, etc. If a company invests their surplus, their profit, in that company in such a way, or in other companies to help them develop and have more or better quality production, then it won't be taxed. But if a company uses the money to buy back shares or to buy property or to in any way generate passive income or use it for financial gain, then it will be taxed like, I propose 100%. Fuck it. We don't want a financial system. We want a system where people invest. It's not about assets buying and passive income. It is about investing in the company, in the community, in the workers, in the people who make up this company, and protecting the environment by producing in a way which is environmentally friendly, by producing environmentally friendly products, renewable energy, etc., less CO2, environmental friendly building, producing, etc. We need to invest our money and not buy assets, because this whole financial system is making 99% of us bankrupt, and in the end we end up in a Mad Max Elysium world. But where I want to go is a Star Trek world, where everybody's needs are met and people are free to contribute to their community and to their environment and to their surrounding, to the planet and their village. And that is what this is all about. And let's be totally honest. So that is what you can do. Vote for the people who will make these policies happen, the big policies, not asset, not financial, invest and produce, rule of law, welfare state, needs met, basic needs provided for, and wealth equality, and no more corruption, the rule of law for everybody. So every individual person can write their congressman and write and insist that this is the platform I want. It's not difficult. I wrote it down in one page. This is the policies I want. Don't make it too complicated. Don't go into these details. Just do the 5 points. That's what I want. If you promise you will do that once you get to office, I will vote for you. It's that simple. Now, that is a very strange move I just made. Well, anyway, and the second thing is invest in your community. Get active. If you live in a poor community, see what resources you do have. If you have unemployed young people, put them to work. And then they'll say, I won't work if I don't get paid. Well, you're not going to get paid. You're not going to get paid today. You're not going to get paid tomorrow. Because if you're poor in America, right now you have no prospects. So what you're going to do, we're going to pull our resources. We're going to go find some way to buy paint or get it donated by a big company and get paint and brushes, and we're gonna paint all the wooden houses which are rotting away, and we're going to train our young people to be plumbers to fix the houses and builders and they're gonna work for nothing, but they're on welfare. So I'm going to vote for the people who are going to introduce a welfare state. And then I'm going to I'm going to be one of the people who say, I'm not going to wait for some rich guy to pay me to do shit. I'm going to take their welfare money to feed my family and have a life. And then I will use the time and energy I have because I'm unemployed. What am I going to do all day? What are these guys doing all day? Just, taking drugs or crime or whatever. No. Get yourself some paint and some brushes and start painting houses and get an education as a plumber or as a nurse or as a caretaker and start taking care of the old people in your street. And start helping the single mothers by fixing up her house so her children aren't being electrocuted when they go to bed. Fix the houses, fix the street, mow the lawn, get your community buzzing. Get it more prosperous. Invest your time. Because if you're unemployed, you have time and you have your bodily labor. And if you can't sell it, then give it away. What else are you going to do? Lie in bed all day? Do something to contribute to your community. Start on your own or with others. Give an example. Talk to others. Whatever. Make groups. And then you can start all kinds of things. So first, you need to fix the houses so people can have a safe, comfortable, healthy environment to live in. And then you're going to fix the gardens and the street. And so the environment is healthy for children to play and safe. And then you can start growing food and having little gardens and community gardens to have healthy food and enough food for your street in your community. And then you can start maybe with a little bit of money or a small loan or some people start a business. A little business. just look around in your street or the streets downtown. Look what people are looking for, what kind of help they need, and I can tell you 2 areas where everybody needs help: construction, or actually fixing up existing houses to make it livable, and care, taking care of people. And so start small businesses and take care of people and fix up houses. And then maybe you can produce handcrafted stuff and start selling it on the internet. Use the internet. It's not for watching TikTok movies. The internet is for networking, for finding customers, for finding investors, for building a business, that for getting information, for education, for educating your young. Make sure your children are well educated. That is the problem in poor neighborhoods. That children don't get a proper education. The best way to get out of poverty is education. So do that. But don't go waiting for some big man with big ideas who takes your money to fix it for you. Do not expect other people to fix life for you. Your life is yours. You are the captain of your boat. And if it's your canoe, you have to paddle it. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come cheap. And then there's no Santa Claus coming around to give you happiness or wealth or prosperity or anything. Don't look to other people to save you or to help you or to make you happy. What are you doing for your country? What are you doing for your house, your family, and your street? Keep it local. There you go. Just do what you can in the little environment you're in. And if everybody just does just as much as he can, the result will be amazing. So, there's your answer. What can you do? Well, you can start paddling your canoe and fix your own problems and make it happen. Because you can do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you're stupid or you're powerless or that you cannot change your life. You can. So, good luck. See you next time.